I was going to start this off with a rant intro, but honestly, I thought about it. There's enough good news for me to sit back and be a cup half full type of guy. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are, dealing with South Carolina and Kansas today. Well, Kansas was not today. They were yesterday, I believe. But nonetheless, in the last couple of days, I wanted to get both of them in before I went ahead and put anything out. And there's good news and bad news. It looks like Kansas did not make the supermajority that we needed. So, and I'm sure my cause people will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they did get a majority vote, but not a supermajority out of the Senate. They required 2/3 and were unable to achieve that. So it looks like there's some primary work to do this year for our grassroots over there in Kansas. I do want to give a special shout and a correction. So last video, I had mentioned that Kansas or South Carolina, whichever came first, would be the 18th state. I'm not sure why I said that when I put out a video celebrating Wisconsin for this deed, or Wisconsin and Nebraska for 17 and 18. But in the end, I did it. I screwed it up. And of course, our cause people were out there to set me straight. So thank you to Maureen Zoll and the Connecticut State Director, and to Michael Arnold, Massachusetts State Director. So if you think that grassroots is not fully engaged, folks, you're crazy, because look, we passed committee in Massachusetts, and Michael Arnold gets a big play on that, and a shout out to him for that, right? And that's not an easy state to pass anything, and there were like 14 Democrats on that committee or something like that. There was a ton of Democrats on the committee, but they went in strong, and we got a pass committee that was huge. So good stuff there. But back to South Carolina and Kansas. So Kansas didn't get it, but South Carolina, well, they had their third reading today, and they did vote in favor. Now, they are not technically the 19th state yet, because we are waiting for it. It has to go back to the House, who already passed it. But and maybe my cause folks here can help me out, because I've been watching this on the road while working, and I've been in the field all week. And there was an amendment passed at some point, from what I understand, that needs to go back to the House to make sure they're okay with that amendment. Now, I don't think there's any jeopardy here of the entire resolution blowing up, but it is something that has to get done. So technically, they are not the 19th state yet, which gives room for states like Pennsylvania to pull off some crazy stuff and sneak in there. I'm still waiting for Pennsylvania. They're like my biggest. I'm gonna go nuts. The fireworks are gonna go off when Pennsylvania goes through. That, to me, that's like, even though Pennsylvania is not Massachusetts, it's turned red over recent years, significantly red. And, even though last election didn't show it, I think this is a great opportunity to show a state, hey, let's say it's a Biden state, right? So, and no offense to my people in Pennsylvania, but let's say it is a Biden state. Well, that means a Biden state is on too, which brings up the point that this is not partisan, right? So, and that's what I like to see, right? And I like to see, when it comes to state legislatures, the legislators are different. Some of us put together, some of us group everyone in to the same category. You're a politician, then you're this. But state legislators and federal legislators are two different animals. All right, state legislators are local. All right, so these guys, they know a lot of their constituents personally. I guarantee you Nancy Pelosi doesn't know anybody that's not working for a lobby organization or some organization that she needs to prop up for some reason for self-benefit. All right, whereas these people, they're accessible. You can go to your state legislators, and this is why the founders gave them this power. Right? Because they're the closest to the people. And when you go, and I could tell you, because I've been watching these debates, not just the current ones, I've gone all the way back, because I'm only on this movement for like a year. I, embarrassingly enough, wasn't really informed about it either. And I had to go through all the process and research, and for a little while, the runaway convention thing got me, but then, you keep reading, and then you get on board. right? But South Carolina is looking good to become 19. I heard Mark Meckler make the comment. I forget the exact term that it was, the slogan, but I think it was 22 and 22 or something like that, meaning we'd like to get 22 on board in 2022. Now, I initially was hopeful for 25, but that was before South Dakota and now Kansas fell off. So we'll have to get them next year. Hopefully the grassroots are able to take them out in the primaries. In South Dakota, both of the Dutarus that lost there or that killed it there, both of them are up for primary in June. So that's something that the people of South Dakota need to get all over and get on them. They told you have rocks in your head. They literally said that. I heard Mark Levin wanted to go debate them and see who has rocks in their head. I mean, that's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard a legislator say, period. Forget being so wrong. So, look, in the end, this is not a today process, right? We all know this. Convention of States Action has been at this for almost a decade. I mean, it's coming up on a decade now, if it hasn't passed a decade already. I don't know the exact year it started. From what I understand, it's right at that cusp of a decade or just made it. But that's a long time. I heard, Meckler saying it was 9 years worth of work and I included that in that mashup video I did, on West Virginia, where at the end he was like, it was 9 years of work in the legislature. Right? But these are crazy times and things are moving quickly now. We're starting to gain a lot of momentum. And I said this early on, Joe Biden may very well be the greatest asset to the Convention of States movement ever. Because the worse he is and the more he overreaches and the more he makes these statements like, if the governors want to hold us back, I'll use my authority to get them out of the way. Like the more he makes those kind of stupid statements, the easier it is for people to understand why cause is necessary, right? And and I've recently been talking about this Great Reset because while I always knew that that Klaus Schwab was serious in what he wanted to do, I never really was able to put all the pieces together as far as, there's a lot of definitions and a lot of theories about what we know for sure is that there is an elite group trying to do creepy stuff. That part we know for sure. Now, is it Freemasonry? Well, hence my shirt. George is the only Mason influencing change in America. So, but is it the Masons or is it Illuminati or New World Order or the Great Reset folks or, and there's all this stuff out there. But it's starting to, now that they're moving and this COVID crisis and the Great Reset, I never sat down and listened to these Great Reset folks as much as I have been recently. And it's made me more and more fired up about getting these resolutions passed and getting more people on board. Because in reality, like I said in my last video, if cause goes through, if cause is successful, if we call this Convention of States for amendments and we end up getting fiscal restraints on the federal government, right? If that happens, it's over for this Great Reset movement. They're done. And I'm learning that now more so than ever because what they're dependent on, a huge part of what they're dependent on is modern monetary theory. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically quantitative easing. It's what they've been doing when you hear people say printing money. Okay, now they're not technically printing money because they can't print money. Well, they could print money, but it costs more than $1 to print $1, so they're not doing that. But like what they're doing is to keep it simple, right? They're just adding money to the Fed. So it's a few keystrokes now, right? We're in 2022. We don't have to print the physical dollars. There's nobody carrying a wheelbarrow of dollars. They're just basically injecting this money into the system. Now, with the U.S. economy being the size that it is, they can get away with it for a little while. Eventually, it will fall apart. But not according to modern monetary theory. According to them, debts don't matter. It's kind of like the concept of Bitcoin, where it's just the mere scarcity of it. of Bitcoin that gives it such immense value. And if you started flooding, printing Bitcoin, well, the value of Bitcoin would drop significantly. So in their case, though, what they're saying is it's all faith in the dollar. That's where its value comes from, is faith. And it's completely wrong. I mean, it's completely wrong. It's insane. But they think they can keep printing money to the end of time and just continually, give the handouts and give whatever. This is why they don't follow any economic rules. And Article 5 is all about the adult entering the room, right? It's like there's a bunch of kids in Congress having a food fight, and finally the adult is about to walk in the room. All right, that's what Article 5 is in analogy terms. But if you don't think, if you think this is crazy, if you think the Great Reset is something out of fiction or it's some dystopian book, it's not. Okay, and I can tell you the term New World Order has come out of their mouths. Okay, it has come, and it's starting to come out of other people's mouths as well. I sent that, I posted that video. I can play it again with the parliament member of Ukraine, who mentions, as a matter of fact, let me play it again, because just to give you context of what I'm saying.
The democratic countries, we knew that we are the shield for the Europe.
For the rest of us that aren't Ukrainians, I think the world, quite frankly, Kira, is surprised by the will of the Ukrainian people to stand up and fight. Are you?
Well, I'm not surprised. We have been fighting Putin for the last 8 years, and we had 3 revolutions in our country when we did not agree with what was going on with the direction of where we're moving in. But right now, it's a critical time because we know that we not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order for the democratic countries. We knew that we are the shield for the Europe.
So she straight says, we're doing, and trust me, this is not some local, she's a part of their parliament. She knows what's going on there. All right. The whole Ukraine situation, I told you guys before, there are no good guys in that entire conflict. Only victims. Only victims. NATO is not the good guy in this conflict. NATO is instigating this thing and they're trying to poke a very bad bear, and it's working. And they're doing it for a purpose, okay? And as I get into this, and by the way, just a shout out to Viola in New York City, my hometown, New York City, Ozone Park, Queens. Sheila, how you doing? Good to see you on. Sheila has been a massive help to us as far as, she's always updating me whenever there's a new debate going on the floor, always keeping me in the loop as to what's going on. So big shout out to Sheila. Definitely appreciate you. But I want to get it back on topic. So as far as the way this is all connected, now you hear these people talking. If you haven't watched the World Economic Forum yet, and you haven't seen them talk about this, it's creepy. All right, it's incredibly creepy. And this is why I say this is not, the Great Reset is not conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy fact. Okay? It's well past. I've always known that it was fact. Okay? I've never once thought that it was theory. All right? Because they say it. Like they tell you. It'd be like a dude in a funky mask and a cape coming out, talking about all the plans him and the Illuminati got, and then riding off in some freaking Bentley, and jumping on a private jet and taking off. Like they tell you. And these World Economic Forums have all the world leaders showing up to them. Prince Charles, all right, this guy's supposed to be the next king, right? I don't know what that's worth, but he's supposed to be the next king. Biden, right? Joe Biden. I put this in the State of the Union because it jumped out at me. But until you understand this stuff, you don't even see this. You don't even hear this when they say it, right? And this is the thing. They all talk about it in the open, but until you realize what it is, it doesn't occur to you. So listen to Biden.
We've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset.
Yeah, Joe, let's use the moment to reset, right? Now, if you don't know about the Great Reset and you don't understand what creepy people like Klaus Schwab, what they're up to and what they're planning, then that just sounds like an innocent statement. Okay, then that just sounds like, oh, he's just saying, he's just saying we need to refresh. They all align it with COVID, which is why those comments were in COVID, because what they're telling you, and they will tell you, again, this is right on YouTube. It's not something you got to go dig for. It's not just put in WEF Great Reset, and they will sit there for an hour and explain it to you. Okay, they're talking about councils. They're talking about setting up these committees and councils. They want to gather 10,000 of the world's global leaders and innovators, but they all need to be under 30. Right? They all need to be under 30. The only people that don't need to be under 30 are the creepy dudes who are running the whole show. They're all like 150. Okay? But the point is, and the reason why I'm going to start talking about this reset is Jack and I had talked about this a long time ago, about bringing up stuff like the Great Reset or the Illuminati or that sort of going down those rabbit holes on the show. And we never did it. We decided not to do it because we didn't have a ton of information that was serious information to go off of. And we didn't want to just sit there and start throwing mud at the wall, like talking like we know what we're talking about, when in reality we didn't. But the fact of the matter is, right now with this Great Reset, yeah, this is probably where it's all tied into. Okay, and right now the rabbit hole is how does this relate to people like Xi Jinping and whatnot. But as I work to tie all that together, the point of the matter is the entire thing gets blown up without the United States being on board. And if Article 5 is successful, I am a law of attraction guy, so I definitely am looking for you and everyone else to manifest this. But at the same time, when this happens and the convention is called and these amendments are passed, they cannot operate. All they will be left with is Europe. And Europe, as we all know, from all points of history, with the exception perhaps of Britain, but the rest of Europe is completely useless. They will do nothing. They'll just rot away and fall away. Like there is no Great Reset without the United States, because they don't have Russia, they don't have China, and they likely don't have India. And without those three, you throw they need the United States in there. All right? It's an absolute necessity. And if you want to pull the United States out of this Great Reset, if you want to end this whole thing and put people like Klaus Schwab to the side and blow up his whole program and his whole plan, this is how you do it. This is how you do it, which means you arm yourself with phenomenal information, learn a bunch of different angles of attack. It's always the same argument, right? All we have to know how to debunk is runaway convention. That's the only argument there is. Right? So the question is, well, how do we do that? Right? And, I heard some great stuff coming out of the South Carolina debates, and he was making a great point that I don't know why I didn't think of in the past, where he was saying, and what he said was, because a lot of times the people trying to blow it up and say this is going to go crazy and out of control, one of the cases that they make is that, well, there's no keeping them on the same topics. How do you know they have to stay on the same topics? Just because the resolution says so doesn't mean they have to stay on the same topics. And he brought up the point, and I think this is a great angle to take. If it didn't have to be on the same topics, we'd be in convention right now. And I can tell you this 100% from experience. Because when we built our section of the website, as we were building it, all right, and really I designed it just to add in enough information that wasn't super easy to find on cause action. And the stuff that I was wanting to know that I didn't find immediately, or I had some struggles picking up, namely the progress as far as the actual resolutions, so I could read the actual resolutions. I went on a manhunt to find every resolution that was written. And I can tell you, I found all kinds of crazy stuff. There was New York and New York still hasn't named theirs. I'm waiting for theirs. I did update New Jersey's though. So New Jersey did update it. They had one written that would have been useless. They took out the government overreach and they put in an electoral college amendment. And it was like, I was reading it like, what the hell? But just recently, like a month ago, they put up a new one that has all three on the same topic. New York had one just on Citizens United, nothing else. They just want, which, say what you want about Citizens United, but it's useless. It's one. Right. And that's the proof of the pudding right there. I think North Carolina even had one that was only for term limits, and Mississippi had one that was like leaving term limits out and using the other two, and like slowly but surely they're all coming on board and getting them all together with the same topics because it's necessary. Again, if that wasn't the case, we'd be calling a convention right now. I thought that was a great point. There are like 60 calls for a convention out there, and amongst more than 60 actually, amongst 40 or so states. And the fact of the matter is well over 34. So yeah, if all they had to do is call a convention on any topic and just go in and talk about any topic, we'd already have been there. Right? So this is the argument that we all know, right? Everybody that's already down with cause and the grassroots people who have been dealing with this and have already gotten past the research and read Madison's notes and Federalist Papers 40 and all of that and know that our original convention, the Constitutional Convention, was not a runaway convention, right? And if you didn't know that, you can go back. I just did a video using Federalist Paper 40 that explains it all in detail. So you don't have to sit there and read it. Not that it's that long to read, but it is in Old English and sometimes can require some translation. But Madison breaks down exactly in Federalist Paper 40 why it was not a runaway convention. So these are the arguments that we have to debunk. And the reason we have to debunk them is to get rid of these creepy people and get our country back. Right? And we need to act fast. We don't have time. We don't have another 9 years, 10 years. We don't have that. All right? That luxury is done. When this movement started, okay, things were bad, but they were not on the level that they are now. All right? COVID-19 changed everything. At least in the minds of the sociopaths, okay? And when you listen to the sociopaths, okay, what's creepy about them, and I played these last time, but I want to play one again with the younger person because I want you to focus on something when I play it. So it's not so much, not that what she says is not completely creepy. It's just the way she says it. And Klaus talks like this too. There's another coconut on stage with them, another doo-doo. Oh, and by the way, if you hear me say doo-doo, someone messaged me about this, and they're an old head from the Bronx, and I was like, well, it's a term I grew up knowing in Queens, and he's like, well, I grew up in the Bronx, and I'm older than you, and I've never heard it. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like that. This is what they were older people while I was a teenager. They were in their 50s and 60s, and they would just call people, doo-doos. And it just meant like your coconut, whatever. But like I do use the term, so if anyone's confused by it, that's what it is. So, but anyway, I want to play this lady, so let's hear it.
A global future councils that will be pulling together new ideas in these spaces. And again, some of these have been perhaps in the fringes of the academic conversation already. What we now need to do is bring those ideas to the fore because very much in the spirit of the Great Reset, this is the moment where we can proactively shape the economy that we want in the future.
So, again, the way she's saying it, right? Like she's just talking about it like, let me explain to you. So this is going to put everything in the way with these committees and these councils that we form. This is going to get everything the way we want it so we can proactively design the economy. She's telling you, like they talk about these things in meetings, like you could just see the creepiness oozing off the walls. They talk about these things in their meetings, like, with the sociopathic sense of righteousness that, like, no matter what, we know what we're doing. Like, don't worry, little one. We've got this figured out. I will be happy to explain it to you. And that's where the sociopath comes in. Because if I were trying to do something like this, I would not be on a world forum talking about it openly and uploading that crap to YouTube. Like the fact that they talk about it so open, that Biden can say it so easily, that it rolls off the tongue. Prince Charles is quoted talking about it. There's leaders all over Europe that talk about it all the time, openly, because John Kerry talks about it. They talk about it because they really believe that they're in a position to save you, that you're in peril. You're in peril. And whatever dirty crap they have to do to try and get it done, they're going to do. And this is why they can't be trusted with power. Now more than ever. Like Article 5 is the right way to go, even without this Great Reset. Like even if you pull the Great Reset out, we still got to pay our debts. We still got to be responsible. The federal government still has no place in our education system. They still have no place in any of these areas that they've built these regulatory departments under the Commerce Clause, which has been abused. Like really, you could just pull the Commerce Clause and you're done. And it fixes all that. But like the Commerce Clause actually had good intention. It just grew into an ugly beast. And the reality of the matter is, if we change that, when we're successful, all right, this reset is over. It's over. He'll be pushing that button all day. Ain't nothing going to happen because we pulled the plug. Like that's how this is going to roll. And it's important, South Carolina, I sat there confident about Kansas. So now, even though South Carolina looks like it's in the bag, I kind of see where Rita Peters is coming from when she always has this air of caution around her because she's been doing this longer than me. And I'm a bit of a fanboy right now, more so than an experienced person who has watched enough of the losses. And I've watched the losses, but I haven't experienced them, right? So now, this last 2 years, I'm experiencing them, right? So, the end of last year and into this year, I'm starting to go in with my jersey on, right? I go in when it's like going to watch a football game, right? I'm going in, I got my gear on, I'm all fired up, and the next thing you know, something like Kansas, everybody's winning and I'm getting fired up. And I'm like, oh man, yeah, let's go, cause fire. And then something like Kansas happens. And I'm just like, what the hell is that? Like Kansas? Like Massachusetts, we put up a good fight in Massachusetts and we lose at the end, that's all right. We'll get them next time. But Kansas, I expected Kansas. And that drove me nuts that we didn't get Kansas. That really, that ate me inside. It got me right here. But that's okay. We'll get at them again. We weren't going to hit I didn't think we were going to hit all 34 this year anyway. But the fact of the matter is, we need to move fast. And we really need to hit about 25 this year. I know Meckler's got his goal of 22, and let's hope that's not ambitious, right? But we got 2 in the bag. We probably have 3 in the, I don't want to even say it. We got 2 in the bag, right? So, and it looks good in the third, right? And now we still have Pennsylvania where they were actually reaching out to Mark Meckler and saying, hey, it looks like this is going to pass, right? I don't know if you guys caught that. I mentioned it a couple times in videos, but I think, I forget who he was interviewing with, but he had mentioned that he had gotten a call from the House leader in Pennsylvania who said it was looking good, and then he got a call from the chief of staff of the Senate Majority Leader who said he thinks it's going to pass, and that he responded, "What do you mean pass? And do you mean through committee or in the House?" And he was like, "No, pass." So, and then a week later, it passed committee. So I'm confident, I have some level of confidence that Pennsylvania is going to pull this off. I know some folks out in Pennsylvania and I hear from all of my peeps in New Jersey that Pennsylvania is not what everyone thinks it is. And I don't believe it is after watching the last couple of election cycles. And I think for the fact of the matter is Pennsylvania is a very diverse state, and even Democrats in Pennsylvania are like old school Democrats, like classic liberals, like they're liberty loving people. They're not these psycho Marxists that are running the streets today. So, I do have a lot of faith in them. And I just saw today, this is actually might be breaking for some of you, but Ohio. So there's a post, and I can't, you can't see it on the screen, but in the Convention of States Ohio Region 2 group, which I'm a part of, like a ton of groups nationwide, but it says, finally, Convention of States game time in Ohio. The Senate companion cause resolution to House HJR1 was just filed today in Ohio Senate as HJR4. That is great for me because I need to update the website and the names are always hard to find. So it was assigned to the Rules and Reverence Committee, so they don't have an actual copy of the resolution yet, but below is the announcement in the Ohio Senate, so that they added that into the post. So I don't know if you guys are a part of the Convention of States Ohio Region 2. Cody Regal is the administrator there. So thank you, Cody. We're watching you. We see you. And so Ohio looks like we're getting some movement. And then Sheila's saying, Philly is the hometown, huh? Okay. We see you, Sheila. We can see you. Philly's the hometown. So yeah, Philly's a great town, actually. We had to go on a mission there when I was in college, and I remember going around the city. We had to take photos of like all these different. We were joining a fraternity, and like they made us go take pictures of all these monuments and stuff. And the cheesesteaks were phenomenal. But Philly, we spent a good day there. It was really cool. Philly's a great town. But yeah, so I mean, just getting back on topic, we got movement in Ohio now, which is a big deal, right? And so we don't know which one's going to burst next, right? We don't know which one's going to come next. I mean, West Virginia, if anyone saw that coming, same day, right? So I'm still comfortable that cause is moving in a good direction, but I want people to stay aware of this Great Reset. And not just stay aware of it, but look, there's a lot of conservatives out there who have been tainted by things like QAnon and stuff like that. And like, they think because it's the Anons more than it was Q, right? It's just these weird theories that people were coming up with. JFK Jr. coming back from the dead. I don't know if you followed all that, but I go down these rabbit holes, and that was one I just couldn't follow. And in the end, though, this is not that, right? So it's important that we let people know this is not that this is real. That the Great Reset's real, Klaus Schwab is real, these leaders buying into what he's saying are real, they really believe in this globalist movement. George Soros, etc., very real, right? They're all in on this globalist movement. And we need to be all out on this globalist movement. The United States, literally, folks, literally, the grassroots in these states that are pulling off Article 5 are literally saving the world. Like, that's not even an overstatement. You're literally saving the world. If it's available in your state, if you've got the resolution written in your state, and even if it's not coming up in your state, sign the petition anyway. Still let your legislators know, right? Like, I signed, and I'm in California. Like, I know the uphill fight that we're dealing with here. I know what it is. But in the end, you need to come after it. You need to go after it because, like I said, I put up that one video with the Star Wars thing, like we're gonna save the galaxy. Like, it's literally true, right? Like saving the planet is literally like the freedom as we know it is literally dependent on Article 5 in the Convention of States movement. Like, I don't think people realize how powerful they are right now. But I want to make sure that they do. And the first step to doing that is to understand what the Great Reset is and to fight. Right? And to fight and understand you need to get past, get these people, whoever you can. I can tell you, we fight. I take dozens and dozens and dozens every month, dozens and dozens and dozens of people that I'm engaging with and back and forth in the comments and dropping facts, dropping links. I already know the articles that they're going to post before they post them. And I don't even have to read them because I read them like 3 times already. Like, that's how much I'm engaging this. And I can tell you, unlike every other argument you have online, I've been converting people. There are a lot of people out there who buy into runaway convention, but they're not like diehard. It sounded rational and they believed it. And and they're seriously looking for better information, for more information. And when you provide it to them, The whole thing. I mean, I've had ones that went paragraph, all the way down the line, and this happens a lot on Mimi, and then all the way down the line, and at the end of it, it ends with a thank you. That's great information. I don't know that I would have gotten that anywhere else. And there they go, off to go sign the petition, right? And that's an internet argument. How many of those do you win, right? But it's doable. It's totally doable. It's the only thing that has to happen is we need to be engaged. And being a social media warrior is something you can do for cause that, you know, I didn't take on the exact title because I might say some controversial stuff, and I don't necessarily, you know, there's a level of professionalism that needs to be held if you're going to take on certain titles, right? Because now you're representing them. So I didn't want to be in that position and put them in a position where, you know, I put out a video where I made fun of that congresswoman the other day. Like, they don't do that kind of stuff, right? I do. They don't do that kind of stuff. I do. So like I don't have a problem putting together a mashup video, making fun of the ignorance of some of these people. But Cause Action ain't going to do that. But in the end, if you're not starting your own channel, which I'm more than happy, you know, we don't see it as competition. We see it as more fire. So absolutely, if you're starting one, hey, let's get together. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not, you can still engage people, right? You can still share the material that's out there, share our videos, share the Cause Action videos, share the information, right? And have links to that stuff ready so that when these people try to come at you with it, you know, you're armed. And you can come right back to them, right? Like I always try to keep one of the resolutions on deck. Like I keep one in my bookmarks so that, you can go to our website and pull up anyone for your state, another state, whatever. But just keep the link there. Because when they start telling you, no, there's no way to, you know, it's not written anywhere, because they'll do that because they don't know. You just drop a resolution on them. Here, read this. Tell me that they didn't articulate as well as can be in this resolution that, and this last one, I don't remember if it was South Carolina or Kansas, but that one actually had a provision put in there specifically saying, like, keep your hands off the Bill of Rights, anything like that. It's strictly about these issues. So but have those weapons on hand and be ready to fight. Right? Be ready to fight with them, because it's a fight. It's a fight for people's minds, and bad guys have already seeped into them. So it's almost like, you know, we're hitting into a battlefield that they've been fighting for a while, and we're just entering. Well, some of us. Meckler's been in the fight for a little while. But anyway, I digress. You haven't, right? Or the people you know haven't. And they may know what it is, they may not know what it is, but it's our job to make sure they do know what it is. And when it comes to the sense of urgency, that's where the Great Reset comes in. That's where we need to make sure that we're, you know, explaining to them that this is real, that there really are creepy elites. Show them the World Economic Forum videos. Show them, you know, what there is out there. Because we don't have time, right? We don't have time. That's what it comes down to. We don't have time. Like Meckler's saying, we can get this done by 2026. It could all be gone by then. Literally, it could all be gone by then. When economies crash, they crash in days, not years. So, like if inflation gets to a point where, like, this may not even make it to 2024. So anyone that we can get in right now, we need to get in. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Thank you, Sheila. We appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, look, right? We're fans, right? We're in this, and we're trying to get everyone else in this as well. There's nothing to be afraid of here. There's no reason. And you know, another point about this with their runaway convention garbage. When you think about it, right? What's about a runaway convention that would make somebody not want to do it? It's scary, right? It's fearful. You're like, wow, they're going to rewrite the whole Constitution. I mean, if you believe it, they're going to rewrite the whole Constitution. That's scary. Who uses fear tactics? Who uses them? Like, think about that for a moment, right? And just everything else you know, and what if you didn't always know, at least you must have learned in the last couple of years. Who uses fear tactics? Right? This is a Soros thing, right? That's a Soros tactic. That's a globalist tactic. That's a leftist Marxist tactic. It's no different. For them to scare the crap out of a few, the John Birch Society and a few other coconut conservative groups that have decided to align with Soros. All right, for them to scare them, okay, means you would say, oh, that's impossible. They can't just scare them. They're good at what they do. Have we not learned that yet? Like, have we not learned how good these people are at scaring people? There's nothing that these people are more afraid of. I will take that to my grave. There is nothing that these people are more afraid of than an Article 5 convention. Nothing. Because they know that it's all over. The entire game is over at that point. Checkmate. Checkmate. There's nowhere to go. They can come back and check us in another 234, 235 years and see if, things were able to erode again since then. But their last 120 years worth of work or whatever it is, that's done. That's history. That's how important this is. All right, I'm gonna get to work. I've been very busy at work, definitely. And if you haven't done it already, please subscribe. Click the subscribe button. Follow on Facebook, but really on YouTube, Facebook, we've got almost 2,000 followers. But YouTube, we don't get distributed very well by YouTube. So, and Facebook is starting to slow us down a little bit too. So we definitely appreciate anyone who can share the material and just get the word out for the more important part, but also try and grow this community, because the idea is that we're trying to share. I'm not getting paid for this. This channel costs me a grip of money. I'm paying $300-400 a month just in subscriptions for video editing, and not to mention all the equipment and everything else I had to get. This has not been a moneymaker for us. This is a passion thing for us. Do I want to make money on it? If I could, it'd be phenomenal. But it's not necessary. We're doing it anyway. So, but that you can help us cheaply by just click and subscribe and click and follow if you're enjoying the content and you want to see more updates and things of that nature coming in the future. This will get you the alerts to get that done. We're also on Rumble and Mimi, by the way. So if you're someone who's, I could never go to YouTube no matter what, still go. Click subscribe, then go to Rumble and watch us there. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to try to put together something bigger on the Great Reset, something that's dedicated really specifically to that. I'm just trying to find time. Work has been a little bit crazy lately. But until then, appreciate all of you. Until next time,